This is BZ Rieger with the Quantum Playground, and I wanted to play with some questions. I had actually several people ask me very close to the exact same question. So that lets me know that it's up a lot going on out there. And that is, how do I deal with being socially acceptable, communicating in a way that's socially acceptable, or behaving in a way that's socially acceptable. One being said, well, I know who I am when it's just me, and then I go out and there's other people around and I feel like I have to, kind of hide that knowing of who I am. So, well, okay, that's a good point. If you say that you know who you are, then you know who you are. And when you're out and about with others, you can be who you are. That's part of the unwinding and the unbinding is to have that knowing, to have that confidence, to stand in that respect and love and appreciation for yourself, for the truth of who you are, for owning that knowing that you're not small, that you aren't the storyline, that you aren't the socially acceptable personas that is created out there, where it's kind of like, a herd of smallness, kind of trying to herd other people back into the herd and be small again, because of their discomfort, because of the shearing force between their own knowing within them, not respecting and giving appreciation for the truth of who they are, valuing who they are, that integrity, that internal knowing within them. And so there's that push me, pull you, that dichotomy within them, and they're having some wrestling with that, and they want to be, I don't know what they want. Maybe they want to be liked, or they want to be part of the crowd, or they're afraid to stand up within their own knowing. But it's gotten way past the point of where, it's just an isolated, a few nut jobs, going on and being a certain way and being confident in that knowing, to, en masse, wholesale. You can see yellow vests out there. That's an example of it, and every being will use different languaging that for where they are in that moment resonates for them. That's their own, look at it this way. We're decoding all of the information that's coming into us. So there's a vast array of all knowledge, all everything that is so, which is, to put a very small point on it, galaxies bigger than what we think is so here on this planet. And we are using until we get more used to it, more in the rhythm of it, more expanded in our consciousness of it, more expanded in our way that we hold things, we're using our linear perceptions, our linear languaging, our linear frames of reference points to describe for ourselves the information that we're getting and kind of how we're understanding what it is that we're getting, in each given moment. And as we do that, we actually see that there's, what is out there, and the truth of who we are, and the truth of what is so in all of Source's multiverse is so much different, would be a really simplified way to put it, than what we've been told, than what the company line is, than what the socially acceptable stuff is. So everybody's languaging is going to be different than that, because that's their way to decode it. That's their perceptions, their perspective, their touchstones, their past experiences, and that they're going to use that to help them decode it. Then they may encounter and experience and connect with other beings and how they language it, and they think, oh, okay, well, no, that doesn't make any sense for me, but it rings something for me, and so now I'm going to decode it. So in other words, it's always expanding and changing. You may then take on other languaging that someone uses, or you may expand your own, which has nothing to do with the languaging that someone else used, but it makes it clear in your own languaging. And that's part of the process, because we're in unity, and we're starting to notice that and discover that and truly feel it and know it. And we are each sovereign and unique. We are singularities of this whole unified field of consciousness. And we are becoming more conscious in our own singularity, in our own vessel. So when you come to how do you deal with, how do you be socially acceptable, well, what does that mean to you? And is it the right, socially acceptable? So, and what is it that makes you want to shift who you are, or who you now are, knowing that you are, to try to fit maybe back in, or for the first time, or however you would hold it, to that socially acceptable? So that would be more a question to play with, is what's driving you. So that might be more of the question. What is it that's driving you, motivating you, pushing you to change how you're being, change that knowing you're coming to, so that you can put on a mask, another mask, when you haven't finished taking off the masks, to be socially acceptable. When I was playing with that, I can't say that I honestly played all that much with it because I was just me, being me. But I didn't sell anything. I wasn't trying to sell anything to anyone. I wasn't trying to make myself right or someone else wrong. I was working the most intently on honoring my knowing, and honoring my own inner integrity, and honoring giving voice to what I was realizing was true for me, as I uncovered, discovered, sorted through the different distortions and the different limitations, all of that I had put on me, that I was completely complicit in doing to me, doing to others, having others, quote unquote, doing it to me. So that was what was important for me, was to play more and more with discovering that knowing for myself, not use that as a stick or a club or a sales weapon to sell other people about something, but to get more and more confident in just speaking in a way that was now becoming more and more and more natural and in alignment and in integrity with the truth of who I was for me. And depending on who it was that I was encountering, and reading their energy and connecting with them in conversation, and truly being interested in where they were at the point where they were, and then letting the conversation flow from there. So one way to say this may be, if I would describe things in a certain way between a conversation that you and I are having, that would be more about energy, that would be more heart-centered based, that would be more about ascension and expansion and consciousness and all that. If someone wasn't perhaps the way I was picking up from the conversation, ready, that I would use my pure language that would transmit that in certain phrases, in certain ways, and see how they flowed with it. And that would give me a sense of where they were, because part of what we're all here to do is that awakening of ourselves and that awakening of each other by the transmission of our own awakening, not handing out news bulletins and selling them something. So as we awaken, we transmit that in a way that is of love, in a way that is of, the purest integrity and open-heartedness and high-level consciousness and expansiveness. And sometimes that's in silence. Sometimes that's in a smile. Sometimes that's in hugging someone and then ending the conversation. For me, the easiest way to answer that question is to honor yourself, to love yourself, to respect yourself, to stay in integrity of that truth of knowing of who you are at the level that you keep increasing and expanding it to stay there and honor that. And every time you have a conversation with others, interact with others, however, wherever, with whomever that it looks like or unfolds, that you keep with that. And in that honoring of that, and in that space now, that energetic, beautiful, energetic envelope now that you're just carrying around you to honor you, you actually are honoring the other being. You're doing all the things I just described, to do for yourself to the other one, because you're not playing that game anymore. So you're not selling anything, but you don't have to lower your vibration. You don't have to, kind of go back in something that has now become false for you to play with that. Sometimes does it seem like it's lonely? Yeah. And sometimes it's wonderful, because they're beings that you will just, you'll meet someone, just for an impromptu conversation at the store, at the laundromat, all sorts of places. I've had so many people say, well, I just had this great conversation at X place doing this thing, and it was amazing the way we connected and the things that we shared with each other. And it was that impromptu moment. And so that's where the richness is, because you change yourself in doing that. You have more confidence, more love, more respect, all those things for yourself. And your consciousness expands. You help the other, and the other helps you in them doing that for themselves. And then those other beings that you then come into contact with from that are on the receiving end of that transmission of respect and love and expanded consciousness and higher energy flow. Plus, it's in the energies all around us, because each one of us is bringing that energy through us, through the central sun to us, out through our heart, and transmitting it out. So play with that. I think as you play with it, you'll see that it's actually shifting the way that you were thinking about your interactions with others. And if you're in a place, in a space with a friend or a loved one or that kind of thing, where they're making you feel like you have to come down to a certain level or change, that feeling's on you. Because no one can make you feel anything that you're not allowing, that you're not stepping into. So maybe that's a lighting up of something for you to integrate more, to be more loving and more conscious and more respectful for yourself and the other. I'd say the bottom line right this minute is to be who you are, and be that in a way where you carry that and you hold that and you transmit that for yourself always, and wherever you are, whatever that you're doing. And when you're doing that, you are transmitting expanded consciousness. You're transmitting respect and love and appreciation and sharing and community and working together, even if it's just for a nanosecond. And that changes everything. I love you.